Welcome back to Black Mesa. I'm Blastinus, and, well, it's coming to the end, folks. This is actually the last video in Black Mesa itself. Yep. We are in what you might call the end game, and yeah, this looks like a place where ninjas might be, but actually there are no ninjas. Yep, it's just aliens from here on out. The military, they probably are still doing something. And actually, as we'll see, they are in fact doing a number of things. But what's important is that whatever they're doing, it's no concern of ours.
Level is 100%.
Oh, hello. Just 1 second. Yeah, it's always important just to see if there are things in every nook and cranny. So, how can we help you?
I apologize, Dr. Freeman, but I'm sure you understand that I couldn't risk opening that door until you had scoured the area. This is the last entrance to the Lambda complex. Every other has been sealed off to contain the invasion. When we realized that you might actually make it here, we drew straws to see who would stay behind and let you through. Obviously, I drew the short one. My colleagues are waiting at the tip of the Lambda reactor. Waiting for you, I mean. The reactor is shut down right now, but you can activate it on your way up. You'll have to flood the core anyway to get into the teleportation labs. You're not authorized to know about those, but I can see you already know a great deal more than any one man is supposed to. A colleague of mine is just a short distance ahead. He may be willing to donate his experimental weapon to your cause.
I really hope so. That experimental weapon happens to be a real, what you might call, it's a big friggin' gun. And that's really what you need to know.
Were you in weapons research too? I built the gluon gun, but I just can't bring myself to use it on another living creature. It doesn't appear that you have any trouble killing things. You can take her with you, but please promise to put her to good use.
Yes, this is the gluon gun. It's our second experimental weapon, and it uses the same ammo pool. Yeah, sure, you have no reservations about killing things, but you're fine with watching other people kill things. Anyway, it's basically, yeah, it's a laser beam, which looks suspiciously like a proton pack from the Ghostbusters film series.
But you can practice in the shooting range if you'd like.
Only, you know, instead of sucking things in, instead it's set on a rather potent blow setting. Regardless, yeah. Our last weapon of the game, and this is a true fact, our last weapon is basically like just a big friggin' laser gun, and it is fantastic. Like, the gluon gun is something that really just, every time I use it, I just feel awesome. Just check this out. Ah, boy. It does eat through ammo, so you want to be careful with it, but oh man, it can just basically eliminate any problem in your path. You almost don't really need the Tau cannon anymore unless you want to, like, snipe something from far away. So then, our priority is to get the reactor running again, as was mentioned. And we can take a little bit of a sidetrack if we want to sort of get a better idea of what we're supposed to do with that.
You are a sight for sore eyes. Head on downstairs. The old man's got a plan to get us out of this mess.
Look here. You'll need to activate both pumps to flood the reactor. And then that access pipe down there will take you onto the core. Hurry on now, son. Time is short.
Yep. Time is short and there's much to do. So, our priority here is to go to the 2 coolant pumps. They're on either side of this facility, and they effectively function the exact same way in terms of design, albeit with some variation on where monsters show up, and some small wrinkles that make it somewhat difficult to access them. For instance, the entrance would normally be up this ladder, but, well, the ladder's broken. So instead, we've got to take ourselves a little bit of a detour down into the coolant water. Now, I know what you're thinking, but no, there are no ichthyosaurs hiding down here. They could have done that. It would have been a real jerk move, but they didn't. And another thing, there's actually an achievement. Yes, there's an achievement if you drown yourself in coolant water. I don't know what the deal is with this game sometimes.
Power level is 100%.
Oh, well that is an indication of something, I do believe. Yeah. Zombies at this point, like, if you want to use your explosive weapons, they're probably the ones to use them on, because everything else just won't stay still. The other candidate would probably be alien grunts, but, well, there are other things that work on them. Anyhow, so here we are in the first reactor. Well, the first coolant tank, I should say. Yeah, there are actually 2 different ways we can get up here. The elevator is, well, I'm gonna say it's probably the wrong way. Like, it doesn't, like, kill you or anything, but, well, it's so agonizingly slow, it's kind of like, yeah, why didn't you just take the ladder? So here's a basic synopsis of how this works. We've got this lever here, see? But before we can pull the lever, we have to get down into the tank itself in order to flip a switch in order to do it, like open the floodgate. You might have seen it, like as we passed it by. With that done, we can head back up in order to flip the switch, and that will activate coolant pump 2. That's the one we're in right now. Honestly, I do kind of feel like the flow, no pun intended, in this area is a little bit lacking. Like, no offense to the designers, but this whole segment of, having to manually flood the reactor is a little bit slow. Even with all the monsters that they threw in order to make things a little bit more exciting, it's still very much just about, like, yeah, going up and down ladders and pressing buttons. I feel like they could have probably streamlined this a little bit, or at the very least, given it a little bit kind of a better kind of cohesion with one another. Like, yeah, we're basically just backtracking so that we can head down into tank number 1 instead, since we finished tank number 2. And like, imagine if you had sort of like debris and various wreckage sort of routing the player through a convoluted route that led from like tank 1 to tank 2 and then back out to the main hub. Like, I feel like this is a little bit more open-ended, and it's, well, like, I mean, it's okay, but nonetheless, I sort of feel like once you've done it the first time, it sort of, well, it loses its impact on the second time as well. And like, well, we're going to be seeing this, and I'm going to be cutting it down a little bit, but the fact of the matter is that the basic structure has not changed. It's just some very minor tweaks that they made to it, really. Like, yeah, basic same hub room here. We have to make our way up in order to get to the actual control room. Although, pump number 1 has a real technological innovation in that its ladder actually works. So, we don't actually have to get down into the coolant in order to find a roundabout way up here. Of course, once we get up here, there's a problem. And we'll be seeing that very shortly. No, not the zombies. No, the problem is that the door is locked. But, well, there's a handy vent down here. Right over here. Where you can flip a switch in order to do a manual override. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, why didn't they just have the door unlocked to begin with? Like, it seems like a really pointless diversion. But alright, so, sort of same room, same concept. And in fact, I think I put in a cut somewhere in order to just, like, go down to the button with the floodgate in order to open it, and then, you know, flip the switch, same as usual. I think I mostly just kept that in because of that really nice swan dive there. Tell you what though, like, this level is making me use all my weapons. It's very nice, I think. Anyway, there we are. Down there, up here, let's go. And back to the main room. I always love looking at that. Like, hound eyes are kind of obnoxious, but the glue-on gun just cuts them down to size. So, since we haven't spoken to the scientist guy, yeah, we get a different greeting. And we also, yeah, we get a bit of a different conversation when we talk to the scientist himself.
here, Dr. Freeman. You've turned on the pumps. Now take the access pipe, flood the core, and get on up to the labs without delay.
Can do.
Just make sure you leave some for me.
You know what? It would have been really cool to see security guards using experimental weapons. Although obviously there's only one Tau cannon, and one gluon gun that we've acquired so far. Like, imagine if these things are mass-produced and you had, like, security guards with laser guns. Wouldn't that have been really neat? I think it would have been. Like, imagine, like, for instance, if security guards were, like, taking hive hands off of grunts and, like, firing their own hives. Like, could you imagine that? That would be just so cool. Yes, they're boxes. But yeah, that would be really, really cool. I feel like that security guards are a little bit limited in the fact that they're actually using, you know, weaponry for peoples. You're not really getting the whole idea of a bunch of, like, action survivors here.
Ow!
Then again, yeah, considering how susceptible they are to, like, just getting themselves shot up, I don't think it would be quite as cool as my imagination. But hey, it's worth taking a look at. I wonder if the AI is sophisticated enough in order to actually use these kinds of things. I haven't really checked to see whether or not they would even have animations for using them. Be a heck of a thing if they could, though. Now then, what we're having to do here is, yeah, we're going to be taking ourselves another swim. As I said, this would have been a great spot to have an ichthyosaur ambush or something, but maybe in another patch. I mean, it doesn't really seem like these things really mind radiation that much, but who can say? The game never really makes it clear whether radiation harms aliens or whether it's just like, you know, they can just kind of chill next to radiation sources as much as they want. Don't worry about our oxygen supply. We're going to be getting ourselves up and out very shortly. Actually, the oxygen that this game gives us compared to the original is super generous. Like, I think you've sort of seen what the original's like. Like, you sort of start drowning after only a few seconds. And actually, there are a few occasions where you're swimming for so long that you're basically, your only way to survive is to surface, because the game gives you back a bit of health after you surface from being, like, underwater for too long. And honestly, I think that's one of the weaknesses of Half-Life. Like, you really kind of notice that the game sort of forces you to take damage in certain ways. Like, you really sort of feel like you're constantly, especially when it comes to, like, hit scan enemies, like, you're constantly getting yourself beaten down in ways that don't always feel fair. But oh well, like, they're trying to enforce the idea that you are more of a survivor than an action hero, so yeah. You're not always going to be, like, perfectly able to avoid getting hurt.
Power level is 100%.
Now then, here we come to an interesting sequence. One that we haven't seen since Unforeseen Consequences. Yeah, I'm not sure if this was intended design for that button, or if we're just like overloading the reactor in a way that was unexpected, but yeah, it's a laser maze. And for some reason, I don't quite understand why, but maybe it's because they're made of lasers, the Vortigaunts are completely able to just kind of walk through this without any issues. That would be interesting, actually, like a being that appears to be physical, but is actually sort of made of energy. I'd have to think about that. Alright, now careful here. The timings are actually a little bit different. This one especially likes to fake you out by constantly flicking on and off. Almost there now. Just one more push. Alrighty. Well, that was some crazy stuff, but you want to see something that's even crazier? That's right, it's a storage room. No, that's not what I'm talking about. No, rather, this section here, the one that we're leading to, is an entirely different sort of research altogether. As soon as I can get to it. Black Mesa in particular, ladders are unusual. Although you don't really need to bother with the ladder because there's just like this little walkway you can go around on, but you know what? I am nothing if not persistent. There we go. You see? So then, we found ourselves the dialysis machine. I don't think that's right. No. You see, like, the Lambda labs are investigating something of a very unusual nature.
It is a friggin' zoo up ahead, Doc. Tread lightly.
And we actually saw a little bit of it back in Surface Tension with that secret lab for Dr. Horn. You remember there were those like weird energy balls that would take us like here and there? Well, that guy didn't last long at all. Yeah. Here is where teleportation research began. And actually, if we get here quickly enough, yeah, it's our friend. I honestly have a feeling that it's a little bit unusual to see him actually taking a teleporter. I kind of just figured like he snapped his fingers and just popped from place to place like a wizard or something. Like maybe his briefcase is full of magic. Hard to say, but here we are. Sort of. he actually passed past, I should say, a very important demonstration of Lambda core technology. Yeah, you see these capsules? Yeah, they're teleporting more than just humans. And in fact, a rather important fact is that they've discovered how to transport not only organic matter, but inorganic as well. So no Doom 3 style, like you lose all your weapons when you go through the portal thing. There's actually nothing of importance in this room in particular, but it does show us a little bit of foreshadowing to some other location that we'll be teleporting to in, I'd say, like the next 10 minutes or so. Let's move on. Yeah. Meet the teleporter hub, and then unmeet it. We're about to see something else first. Yep, here's our actual destination. There is the final teleporter that'll take us to the end of the game. Or at least the area that will take us to the end of the game. Regardless, though, we're going to have to find a way to get there, and that is where the teleporter hub comes in. The basic way that things work around here is that orange teleporters are inlets and green teleporters are outlets. So wherever you see a green ball, that's where you pop in. Yeah, sorry about that. What we're supposed to do, and I guess I'll take these in order, is to find the one that carries us to the top. But there are a number of them that are just fake outs. Railing kill. Fantastic. Anyway, this area here looks pretty familiar, right? It's where we just saw the G-Man walking into a teleporter. So, where does it take us? Back to the hub. Back to the hub, I mean. Kind of swallowed my words there. Ick. Number 2 is progress. As is number 4. Let's do the things that aren't progress first, shall we? This is just a demonstration, though. Like, you do actually want to look up and sort of sight it. You're not always guaranteed to pop out of a teleporter onto a platform. And, well...
You're the one from the Anomalous Materials Labs, aren't you? I recognize you.
Shucks. I thought you were the pizza guy.
Yeah. As I was saying, if you pop into a teleporter and you don't have anything below you, well, it's a long way down. Let's just say that.
Might not want to stick around too long, Doc. These two bicker on like an old married couple.
We are an old married couple.
What do you mean? Oh.
Womp womp.
Again.
Yeah, we'll leave this comedy routine be. Back to the hub. Our next stop, I believe, is number 3. Yep, that's right. It's that area that we saw before in the steam room. And we were kind of looking down on it from above. It's pointless. Let's move on. So, number 2 takes us up. Number 6 is, yeah, it's a thing. Alrighty, now sight it and go. Then, again, sight, and now. You really gotta watch out for these low-hanging pipes, by the way. They will sweep you off, or kill you. Now, number 9 looks a little bit unusual, but I'm sure we'll be fine. We weren't fine.
Medical systems.
Yeah, this game, it just kind of insta-kills you sometimes. Number 8, I don't know what the purpose is of number 8. So, I guess that would leave lucky number 7. And here we are. Now our objective is to expose the core here, which is another teleport ball. And to do so, we need to turn these sort of locks in order to override whatever sort of seal they put on these things. And here we go. Yeah, time for you guys to buckle in because things are about to get interesting. Very interesting indeed. For starters, yeah, I'm sending an elevator down but taking the ladder instead. So there. But actually, yeah. It's time for us to figure out where all of our anomalous materials came from.
Gordon Freeman, you finally found us!
So this is the guy, huh? Thought you'd never make it.
Oh, nonsense, Hunter. Nothing stands in the way of our errant knight in shining, high-impact reactive armor.
Guess not.
Right then. This way, Dr. Freeman. We've been expecting you.
Jesus, you're not scared, are you?
What you see before you is the supply depot for our first survey team. Quite a few handsome specimens were collected from the border world and brought back this way. Before the survey members started being collected themselves, that is. These readings have given us reason to suspect that there is an immense portal over there, created and maintained by the intense concentration of a single powerful being. I'm sure that you will know it when you see it. I am loath to say this, Gordon, but you must kill it.
Yeah, you better kill it. No ifs, ands, or asses about it.
Of course, you owe us nothing, Dr. Freeman. But you've come this far. You know as much about these creatures as anyone.
Enough to know that if you don't wipe it out, well, let's put it this way. There ain't gonna be much for you to come home to.
Yes. So if you're willing, my colleague is waiting for you at the main portal controls. Dr. Steinman will open the gates for you. And don't let Hunter's brash attitude frighten you. We've all been a wee bit rankled since the incident. He'll equip you with the proper armaments for the task ahead. Do hurry.
So, you're actually gonna go through with this, huh? You're braver than you look. This here's my personal collection. The best military-grade hardware this side of the Rio Grande. Have at it. Probably put it to good use.
I could think of a few good uses for this. And yes, actually, Lambda Core, if you played this game back in 2015, would have been the end of the game. You see, the next few levels, like the ones that take place on the border world, had not actually been created yet until the 2019 patch.
I've one final accoutrement for you. This is the long jump module. I created it expressly for navigation in the world beyond. I certainly hope you've received long jump training, because once you're in Zen, you will need it.
And that's where the name gets dropped. The place where we're going to is called Zen. Of course, I already spilled the beans before, but here's how it's official. Zen is the name, and yeah. If you happen to have known the name was Zen, which you probably did, then yeah, feel free to use it freely. Free.
Hello, Freeman! I'm up here! Practice your long jump if you must, but hurry up!
Now the long jump module, what it used to be was, you see, in order to do a crouch jump, you do jump and crouch. In order to do a long jump, you do crouch jump. That make any sense? But the point is that they've changed it so that it's now just an air dash, basically. An omnidirectional air dash.
I can open the portal now. The process is complicated, and once it has begun, I must not be interrupted or I'll have to start all over again. Don't enter the beam until I give the okay. Understood? I will begin.
Yeah, don't worry about what he's saying there. He's in an enclosed pod and nothing will actually happen to him. However, I suppose that is a bit of a... yeah, there will be enemies sort of foreshadowing. And enemies there will be. Meet the alien controller, a floating, like, gray type enemy, like your classic grays, with the ability to just fire giant salvos of yellow energy balls at you. Effectively, if you don't keep moving, you are dead. Those things will just waste you in a huge, like, burst of fire. Good thing we just got ourselves a mobility upgrade, eh? Effectively, what this is just survival. All we need to do is avoid getting ourselves killed before the portal activates. Not altogether a daunting task. There's a pretty wide area to run around in, and the long jump module affords you a certain degree of safety in terms of the ability to just run away if you need to. Granted, I'm still kind of messing it up, but what can you do? Sure I will, but first... yeah, don't tell your parents that you do this, but... yeah. the hat can actually be spawned anywhere you like. I suppose I'm sort of giving the game away there. But nonetheless, here we go. I'll see you guys on the other side.